Some secret audio of Donald Trump talking to Lev Parnas was released, and he says something here, Trump does, that really proves the point we've been making about Bernie all along.
Bernie Sanders, they rigged it. Bernie would have beat Hillary in that right now.
That would have been tougher.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was no hatred.
Right, you're right. There was no hatred. Millennials were right.
As great as he was, half my motivation working was not let her do it.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I think a big part of our
vice president would have been tougher.
Kane was what I couldn't.
But I think Bernie, because all those people that hated her so much who voted for me, I got 20% of Bernie vote. People don't realize that because of trade, because he's a big trade guy. He basically says we're getting screwed on trade. And he's right. I'm worse than he is. And we can do something about it. I don't know if he could have. But had she picked Bernie Sanders, it would have been tougher. It was the only one I didn't want her to pick. Now then.
He's the only one I didn't want her to pick for VP, Bernie Sanders. And he said, I'm worse than him, talking about trade. He knows. Listen, he knows. For all of Donald Trump's flaws, and he's got a zillion of them, and we talk about them all day, every day, he knows how to read a room. He knows how to sense the mood in the room, and he knows what direction to go in, depending on who he's talking to. Who am I talking to? Am I talking to a bunch of elites from Goldman Sachs? I'll say this. Oh, am I at one of my rallies and, whatever, it's in New Mexico? I'll talk about the wall and talk about how bad immigrants are. He knows his crowds. He knows what sells and what doesn't. One of the things he knows sells that other Republicans don't get is his position on trade. Fight the outsourcing, keep the jobs here. He used to argue for not cutting Social Security and Medicare. Now he argues for cutting them. But he knew, I'm trying to win an election here in the United States of America, running for president. I'm in the swing states. I'm going to say I'm never cutting Social Security. Are you kidding me? I'm going to say I'm going to keep the jobs here. He knows. And he knows that the stuff Bernie Sanders talks about is popular. There was another article in the Daily Beast. I forget how long ago it came out now, but we covered it on this show. Trump said one of the issues that scares him the most for Bernie is debt relief. And honestly, a lot of that comes from Trump's own personal experience. His businesses have been through bankruptcy 6 or 7 times. And to him, the idea of debt relief is like, oh my God, that's super appealing. And he knows that other people feel the same way. And so Trump has said privately, socialism is not going to be so easy to beat if they're running a socialist. Because there's something inherently appealing about canceling student loan debt, medical debt. And this is something Tucker Carlson also said on his show the other day. Specifically brought up the issue of, I believe it was debt relief. I believe it was student loan debt relief. Specifically brought that up. And he said, listen, here's who's going to win the election. The person who promises to fix people's lives, to help them with their problems. On some level, he gets it. Guys, if it is Bernie versus Trump, expect a whole bunch of weirdness. Because Donald Trump might, everybody surrounding Donald Trump is going to tell him the same thing. Hit Bernie, how do you pay for it? How do you pay for it? How do you pay for it? You're going to be like Venezuela. You want to make us like Venezuela. Socialism, socialism, socialism. Be afraid. Since everybody's going to be telling Trump that, there's a chance he takes the bait, and that's how he goes after Bernie. If he goes after Bernie that way, hear me now, quote me later, he will not win. Donald Trump will lose. He will not win. That strategy is a sure loser. But hearing this audio leads me to believe he might have some tricks up his sleeve. So in other words, could you imagine an election where Bernie Sanders is running all the issues he always runs on, and then Trump attempts to outflank Bernie on his left on many issues in the debates? Because it looks like Trump is crafty enough and clever enough to know, oh my God, thank God Hillary didn't pick Bernie because then I could have lost. He's smart enough to know that, which means he's smart enough to know in a one-on-one with Bernie, he's got to get creative because his normal stuff won't work. So if he really if he can stand firm against every right-wing advisor he has, and he decides, okay, if I'm running against Bernie, watch, I'm going to pivot to the left of him on many issues. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a whole bunch of, like, if it's Trump versus Bernie, last-minute things from Trump, which give him something where he could try to argue from the left of Bernie on some issues. And if he were to do that, man, this dude is, he's dumb in a zillion different ways, but this would be a genius political maneuver. So anyway, I think that clip is really important. It tells, a story that all of us felt on some level. Hashtag Bernie would have won. Seems like Trump is almost at that point. If Hillary ran with Bernie, man, that would have been tougher because he's even better than me on trade, or I'm worse than him on trade. Wow. That's something else.